السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه والتابعين وتابعيهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد, today is Wednesday, the 20. Today is the 25th of Shawwal, 1441, and it matches the 17th, Wednesday, the 17th of June. And inshallah, we continue on Fada'ilul A'mal, the excellences of good deeds, or the excellent deeds, the most excellent deeds. The last one we mentioned yesterday was as-sadaqatu ala al-aqarib, to donate, to give donations to blood relatives, which will be regarded as both a donation and connecting with your blood relatives, or being kind to your blood relatives. Next is al-gharsu was-zar'. And this is something that used to be used a lot before, but most of the people now turn to other jobs. This is sowing the seeds and planting, right? Something now just specific to the farmers with the modern, civilization and all of that. Except if you are someone who is really using your backyard and you're planting there and getting some. People, I know people who do that, mashallah. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what is the virtue of this planting, sowing the seeds? What is the excellence of that? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, and this is a hadith that is agreed upon, that there is no Muslim who sows a seed, he puts a seed in the ground, or plants a plant, يغرس غرسا أو يزرع زرعا فيأكل منه طير أو إنسان أو بهيمة. Then what results from this planting and sowing the seed? There eats from it a bird, طير, or a human, إنسان, or بهيمة, a beast, an animal, eats from that. What is the reward? إلا كان له به صدقة, except that he will get a charity. And he has done an act of charity, a charitable act, will be regarded as a donation. Subhanallah. So even if a bird eats from it, a human or any kind of creature, then you will get a reward every time they eat from that. So imagining this, then it is not going to be then difficult to understand why. It is not going to be difficult to understand why that Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam said that if the hour is to be established, is about to be established, إذا قامت الساعة, and there is in the hand of the one of you a fasila, a little plant, a baby plant, right, like a palm tree or whatever, then you are able to plant it before the hour is established, then فَلْيَغْرِسْهَا, then let him plant it. Subhanallah al-Azim. The hour is to be established. The hour is to be established. And it is about to be. And you have the chance, you have the time that you will plant that plant, then do it. Sow that seed, do it. Right? Subhanallah, how much this hadith opens up doors for optimism, doors for uh, maintaining life and looking after life. استعمار الأرض to maintain it, to grow it, to better the life that we live in. Many of the non-Muslims, subhanallah, this is if you hear the sound, that's the sound from outside the ice cream truck is traveling around, if you heard the sound. So the non-Muslims think about this life in a materialistic way, and whatever they achieve in it to grow and better the life of the humans. And they put in a lot of effort into that, not expecting anything about the next life. But we, the Muslims, we should be even much more keen, much more interested than all of them combined to better this life, worldly life, and to grow it and to make it better. Why? Because the reward is not just here. The reward of it, in terms of the betterment of the life, that is one thing, but then it is an act of worship that we do, which we will be receiving rewards for it in the next life. And this is why Islam, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, you will not find a match, and no one can find a match. And it is truly the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's just يعلمون ظاهرا من الحياة الدنيا. They only know the outward, the superficial aspects of this worldly life, and they are completely unaware, they are completely negligent and heedless from the knowledge about the next world. So this is the reward. If you are someone who is doing this, doing some fruits or vegetables or whatever in your backyard or in front yard, alhamdulillah, that is a good thing. Anyone who eats from that, you're getting the reward. Just do it with good intention, and inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you for it. Next is ما ينفع الميت بعد موته. Oh, this is a very famous hadith in Sahih Muslim. If the son of Adam dies, then his deeds cease, his deeds stop. Well, his actions are stopped because he's dead. He's not doing it anymore. That's why we are commanded not to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for death, regardless of whatever calamities, no matter how sad and sorrowful you are, how much pain you are going through. Never ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take your life away. Why? Because if you die, your good deeds stop. Why do they stop? They stop because you're not doing them anymore. You're not there to do them. Right? So we never ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that, for death. We always ask him, if living is good for us, then make us live. If dying is better for us, then make us die. Take our souls if it is better. That's how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us, and not to ask for death, let alone doing the things that harm us, that will cause us to die. Like those who smoke. Man tahassa summan, the one who consumes a poison. This يعني smoke the cigarettes, this is a poison. It's just the dose. If they take the dose of one package of cigarettes and they inject it in you, يعني subhanallah, what will happen to you? But you're taking those who, of course, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us all. Those I'm advising those who smoke, right? One and then another one, then a third one, then a fourth one. If all combined and it's given in one shot, yani subhanallah. But then you don't harm yourself in this way, let alone killing yourself or doing something that will kill you. Yani Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Do not kill yourselves. إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ بِكُمْ رَحِيمًا. Surely Allah is ever merciful towards you. And it was mentioned before Amr ibn al-As radiallahu anhu, when he was with a group of fighters and they were outside of Medina, and he had a janaba, a state of major impurity, sexual defilement. And he was the leader and he wanted to lead them in Salatul Fajr. And there was water to bathe, to take a shower. But then it was very cold. And he said, if I'm going to use this water, I'm going to be very much harmed. I will die out. It's very cold. So what did he do? He made tayammum. We were just talking about it this Sunday. Dry ablution, dry purification. And he actually led them in Salatul Fajr. So when they went back to Medina, they told Rasulullah SAW, he said, you led the Jama'ah doing dry tayammum. So he said to him, I remembered the statement of Allah, this ayah that I mentioned. Do not kill yourselves. Allah is ever merciful towards you. So I made tayammum and led. Rasulullah SAW laughed. He approved him for what he did. He approved him for what he did. Alayhi as-salatu was-salam. So this is the case. And this reminds me of our time now. This virus that is spreading around. And those many people, and some of them I love dearly, subhanallah al-azim, but they are remaining in denial. Oh, this is a conspiracy. This is that. Yani, there is no doubt that there are people who are evil, people who conspire to make money out of whatever way, even if they can get the people sick and make money out of that, they will do it. And I am not doubting that. That's okay. But regardless whether this virus was a conspiracy or like some people tried to do it or evil, or it was contained somewhere and it somehow it got out unintentionally or whatever theories the people have, the reality is that it exists. The reality is that it is contagious. The reality is that it harms and hurts people. So we need to be careful, take the means and the measures that will safeguard us and will safeguard the others around us bi'idhnillah, by the permission of Allah. There is nothing that can happen on this earth without the will of Allah. If Allah does not want it to happen, it will not. That's part of our aqidah, that part of our main beliefs and creeds. However, we shouldn't be like in denial, يعني act in a very negligent way, in a way that we will end up harming ourselves and harming others. So this is the case. Here, if the son of Adam dies, انقطع عمله, his deeds cease and stop. Meaning the reward of them will stop. Well, of course, he dies, he's not here, so he's not doing any deeds, but the reward of his deeds will stop because he's not doing them anymore. But it goes on to say, إلا من ثلاث. So the reward of his deeds will continue in those three. Yani no reward for the deeds after he dies except for three. Three, even if he died, they still continue to benefit him. He still continues to reap the fruits. He still continues to harvest the rewards of those deeds that he has done. First is sadaqatin jariyah, a continuous charity. A very good example of the continuous charity is what was mentioned just before. Yani just now, you planted a tree and you died. That tree kept growing and growing and growing and growing. It provides whatever oranges or uh, dates or any type of beneficial crop. Anyone who eats from that, even if it is a bird or an animal, forget the human, even if it's a bird or an animal, you will be rewarded. Why? Sadaqatun jariyah. So as long as people still benefit from it, then you are rewarded. If it was a school, if it was an orphanage, if it was whatever it may be, a cure that you invented, a cure that you invented for coronavirus or whatever, and the people continued to use it after you, then that is a sadaqatun jariyah. Sadaqah, donation, jariyah from jara, yajri, to run. eh? Run is running, jari is a running, يعني meaning continuous. Like a machine. You start it and it runs and runs and runs. You give the sadaqah like that, it continues to run and continues to run and produce benefits, then you are rewarded, mashallah. Sadaqah jariyah. Or the second one, علم ينتفع به, knowledge that it is benefited from. You left a knowledge behind that people benefit from it. Any kind of knowledge that is beneficial. يعني not sorcery, sihr والعياذ بالله. That's it's a knowledge, it's a branch of knowledge, right? But it's a kufr type of knowledge and the likes. So you have علم ينتفع به, knowledge people benefit from. So this includes all kinds of knowledge of treating the diseases, knowledge of whatever knowledge that is beneficial, worldly life. And the most beneficial of the beneficial knowledge is what? علم الشريعة, the knowledge of al-Islam, the knowledge of the Quran and the Sunnah and Hadith. The leading authority of the Hadith sciences of our time, the Sheikh Muhammad Nasir al-Albani, rahimahullah ta'ala, he passed away. He passed away. It's almost 20, 21 years, rahimahullah ta'ala, that he passed away. Yet, he brought and left behind a revolution in this science. A revolution, yani not in the negative, not in the negative, because revolutions now they sound somewhat negative. Not in the negative sense. It's in the good sense. Imagine even the people of blind following, taqlid, blind imitation. They were pushed, pressured, pressed, pestered, if you will, squeezed. When they speak to their people, now they try to bring a hadith as a proof. They bring an isnad, a chain oh, then it's narrated in such. Before they used to talk, just talk. You don't even question question them where you got it from. Where is it authentic? Is it not? Right? To a point that some of them, so sadly and so يعني pathetic, right? So evil also, والعياذ بالله, they might say رواه البخاري, رواه Muslim, agreed upon, it's in such and such book of hadith. Of course, you go and check, it's not there. But they were so cornered and squeezed that they have to they have to bring forward their proofs and their sources if they are truthful. The ayah from the Quran, which shows up the meaning of it in different places and in different ways. قُلْ هَاتُوا بُرْهَانَكُمْ إِن كُنتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. Bring forward your proofs, your sources, if you are your evidence, if you are truthful. This has been revived across the globe, the Muslim world, يعني all over the world, wherever Muslims are, you find them now looking for the proof and who mentioned this and which book it is from, and so on and so forth. Not only him, of course, يعني Sheikh Al-Albani rahimahullah, many others have participated in this noble work, walhamdulillah rabbil alameen. But then there is no doubt that some of them يعني excel and stand out, excel and stand out. And he mentions alayhi rahmatullah that one time he was discussing something. I believe he was in Egypt and with one of the shuyukh from a certain well-known university there, and he was talking to him. So he mentioned something. The sheikh told him that the narration you mentioned is not an authentic narration or not right position. So he got mad. That sheikh, he got mad with the Sheikh Al-Albani. So the Sheikh Al-Albani told him that you're not supposed to get mad, and that the Sunnah يعني لا تغضب, do not get angry. You should not be like this. We haven't يعني it's a discussion. يعني you shouldn't be getting mad. So that Sheikh, he got even more mad, and he used a hadith which is weak. Says that hadith says that the best of my ummah are those who get very mad easily, but then they retract. They get so angry easily, but then they retract and go back very quickly. Right? The sheikh told him that this is a weak narration, and that sheikh, he just imagine what happened to him. Right? He just burst. Right? He went يعني as we say nuts يعني. And he started saying, I have this degree, I have this degree. What kind of degrees you have for you to talk to me like this? Right? The sheikh said, I have a degree. My degree, my shahada is من رأى منكم منكرا فليغيره بيده. The one who sees amongst you a munkar, an evil, let him change it with his hand. If he can't, by his tongue. If he can't, by his heart. The well-known hadith, right? So يعني this is the case. علم ينتفع به. Everywhere it becomes يعني you have to verify. You have to check what you're doing. Don't just be happy with what you were taught and then just يعني live your life like that. You have to check what you have of the knowledge, and this is علم ينتفع به. Right? So the books of the scholars of the past. I mean, imagine Al-Imam Ibn Kathir alayhi rahmatullah, and his book the Tafsir, and his work on the history, Al-Bidayah والنهاية, قصص الأنبياء, the stories of the prophets, where everybody is reading those books and benefiting from them. علم ينتفع به. Those teachers who teach our kids the Quran, those lecturers that provide for us sound Islamic knowledge, The authors of the books, like this book that we are using, right? They facilitated knowledge for us in an amazing way. All of that is علم ينتفع به. You are in your grave and people are continuing to benefit. Some people are smart. يعني they were not able, Allah did not facilitate for them the expertise and the sharpness and to be like Imam Ibn Kathir or Sheikh Al-Albani, or right. What do? They spread their knowledge. He provides the library of a masjid with the tafsir of Ibn Kathir, the Arabic one or the English one or the Urdu one, so people can read from that. Supplies the schools. يعني the last things I saw, the well-known, the Sheikh Saeed ibn Wahf al-Qahtani alayhi rahmatullah, who has left a mark on millions of people around the world. And I myself, and I'm sure you yourselves also, have been affected by him very positively, rahimahullah ta'ala, the author of Hisn al-Muslim, the fortress. Look at the fortress where it is everywhere now, right? And it turned into an application, more than one application. And his book Ad-Du'a, one of our brothers, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward him and help him in his cause. He is preparing it for an application now. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. And he's also using the recording that we have done for those du'as. Alhamdulillah. Everyone who participated in that, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward the brothers who are working on recording and spreading whatever we are doing. Alhamdulillah, this is everybody's work. Our brothers Muhammad Basawad, Muhammad Ali, brother Umar, brother Samir, and many others that have participated, brother Badruddin, and so many others that have participated. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward them all. And there are some, I don't want to mention them because they don't want to be mentioned. Jazahumullah khairan. So all of those who participate in this, that is علم ينتفع به. So the Sheikh Saeed al-Qahtani, rahimahullah ta'ala, after all the books that he authored and all the benefit that went around the world, from the last things that I have seen that he has done is that he had his library. He had a book, يعني, of course, he's a scholar, so he was collecting books over the years. He collected many books. He had a big library of books. He donated that library of books. يعني he made it a waqf, right? And where does it land? It lands in Sudan. This is after he died, because he made a waqf that he wants it to be put in a place where it will be for general benefit. And it ended up in Sudan, in one of the universities in Sudan. So all of those, imagine a student of knowledge in Sudan, in that university, and he is preparing for a research or whatever. He goes and pulls one of these books by the library of the Sheikh, right? And he quotes something and he puts it back. That quotation, wherever it reaches, Sheikh Saeed is sharing the reward with him, rahimahullah ta'ala. This is how serious this is. So imagine if you teach someone just Surah Al-Fatiha, and that someone teaches it to others, 1 or 2 or 10. If it was just one, and that other one teaches to another one, another one, another one, another one. So do not belittle yourself and what you can do. There is a university, I was just reading, because I'm following what Sheikh Walid Idris Al-Manisi, Hafidhullah Ta'ala, from Minnesota, what he is doing. I was reading that they had an online tahfidh al-Quran for hifz, and it's free. and they are teaching around the world. I think they have 1,000 or more students, and they are looking for volunteer teachers with a different qiraat, either Hafs or Warsh or Qalun, because there's so many of them around the world, and it's a free service teaching the Quran. And they're looking for volunteers to do that. So what is it? Yani they're looking for females, because it's for females. What is it that is preventing me, preventing you or him or them from becoming a hafid? I ask me this question, as you can ask yourself, herself, his self. What makes you not a hafid and not participating on a small scale like this? Oh, I'm just teaching on the internet. You know what? I have to make a living. I have to feed my family. So I'm going every day, 9 to 5. I have to work. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. I have to do that. But on the side, you memorize the Quran in 3 years or 4 years or 5 years. And then once or twice or three times a week, 3 or 4 hours, you are helping this cause of teaching the Quran. What is it that will stop you from doing that? I can answer you. There is nothing. There is nothing. The only thing that is stopping us is us, our ambitions, our goals. And I just mentioned one example because there are many other examples, many other examples. So, علم ينتفع به. What is your share of that? Where do you belong in this category? Right? Maybe صدقة جارية, صدقة جارية, a continuous charity in terms of orphanage and in terms of money, something that involves money. Maybe you say I don't have money, but in terms of you have you. Allah has given you the brains, Allah has given you the talents, Allah has given you the abilities. You can use that in whatever area you can help the people. علم ينتفع به أو ولد صالح يدعو له, or a righteous child. A righteous child. ولد. Child here, ولد. ولد, usually it's used for the boy. ولد, and the bint is used for the girl, right? Daughter. But the word ولد, it can be used for boys and girls. Right? So it's here in the general sense. A child that makes dua for him. A righteous child that makes dua for him. How does the child become righteous? Sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitates for the child to be righteous without without much effort from the parents. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitates for that child to be righteous. Alhamdulillah, there are people, happy people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed them with the children who are righteous. But the majority of the people, or the principle, is that we need to raise our children upon righteousness and piety. And this is how they will grow as righteous, pious people. And therefore, they will make dua for us. And therefore, we benefit from these duas that they will make for us. Sometimes I see in the masjid young children, very young, and I see them very mannerly, very disciplined. Although they are very young, 7 years, 6 years, they pray with us, and then after they do the adhkar. They don't move around too much as many of the children do. And then I have seen some of them also, they make dua. And they make dua for a while. Subhanallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless those parents who taught them this. And most of the time, whether we admit it, we want to admit it, or not want to admit it. It is the mother that is having the strongest impact. I've seen a number of children, they memorized the Quran. Yes, the father was there and he was helping and he was supporting, but then the mother is the one that was behind her children in terms of helping them to learn Islam, making them love the deen, making them pray on time, making sure that they are not missing out on their religious obligations, and so on and so forth. And therefore, when they grow up, then they become truly righteous. Unlike the mothers who are negligent, unfortunately. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us all to that which is most beneficial for us. And then you get some wives who might want to be like this, but then the husband is busying his wife with very little, very foolish, subhanallah al-azim, very foolish things in life, and therefore crippling her efforts, crippling her efforts in advancing her children. And sometimes it's the opposite too. The wife is the one who is busy with frills, things that are unworthy, unfortunately. And the children are the ones who are going to suffer in the end. So these are the three things that will benefit the person after death: a continuous charity. Ask yourself, what are your plans? Have you invested in some charity? Maybe you cannot do it on your own. Did you participate in anything? علم ينتفع به. are you trying to spread what you learned? There is no one better in speech than the one who calls to Allah, دعا إلى الله, did righteous deeds, وعمل صالحا, وقال إنني من المسلمين, and said, I am truly of the Muslimin. No one better than this. You don't have to be the scholar of the town, or the flag bearer of knowledge in that village or that city, right? We don't seek knowledge in order to achieve superiority or flag bearership of this or that knowledge. We don't. We seek knowledge to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we spread it and disseminate it because we want to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if we do, then we know that this is the reward. Knowledge that is beneficial to people stays behind you. You are in your grave and you are collecting rewards. If there are reasons why for you to be tormented in the grave, then remember that the more people benefit from the knowledge you left behind, the more you are putting out the fire, putting out the punishment in your grave. That is before you reach the next stage after the grave. Within the grave, the more people benefit from your charity, the more people benefit from your knowledge, the more that you left righteous children. And some people, and especially some women, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us and give us the insight. No more. It's two children, one child, three. I don't want any more. Some of them, وَالْعِيَاذُ billah, some of them, they say, أعوذ billah. They seek refuge with Allah from that. You seek refuge with Allah from Allah's bounty and Allah's gifts, Allah's grants, right? Some minds are not in the right way. And Some women prefer to have, you know what, I want a career. I don't want to stay home. And what's wrong with uh, raising your children and having children to raise? That never goes against you having knowledge and you learning and you earning a degree, and it doesn't go against even you having maybe a suitable job in the future, maybe after your يعني the period where you are bring يعني begetting يعني and raising the children. After you finish that, maybe you will have the time to have a certain position where you can benefit others. Maybe that will come. It's all with Allah's facilitation. But some they want just one child or two children so that, oh, I want to keep my career. Well, yani you can choose to do that, but uh, that is not going to be as rewarding as having those righteous children that will spread. And Rasulullah SAW made dua for Anas ibn Malik to give him a lot of children, أكثر ماله وولده, to make his wealth and children a lot. Right? And he did have يعني, a lot of children, and not necessarily directly from you yourself, but your child and your grandchild and the great grandchild of your child, right? And you don't know when you are going to have the best. Look at Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, and from his lineage you have Umar ibn Abdul Aziz rahimahullah ta'ala. Right? Imagine you have someone, يعني, a beacon of light that comes out يعني, from your progeny, from your descendants. But people have to have the right intention, not, to have children so that he will be strong and they are around him and they will support him and they will farm along with him in his farm, save him some money, right? And build him this and build him that so that he has a lot of hands with him to work in his factory or to expand, just to expand his business. It's okay to have more to do that. Alhamdulillah, whether if as long as it is mubah, allowed, it is allowed. But then we have intentions, يعني ولد صالح ولد صالح يدعو له, a righteous child that makes dua for him. Those who invest in masajid and Islamic schools, they are the smartest. Why? Because the masajid and the Islamic schools, they have all of these three in them. They are a continuous charity. Anyone prays in the masjid, anyone learns in the school, you are getting the reward. ولد علم ينتفع به. Anyone benefits from the masajid. Where do you get the benefit anyway, especially in the religious knowledge? Where do you get that? Khutbatul Jumu'ah and the lectures and the reminders after Salah, and even the recitation sometimes. The recitation in the Salah. Someone comes and he prays behind the Imam, and then he comes and he says, well, I was very much, affected by this. علم ينتفع به. علم ينتفع به. I remember one time the ayat, هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون. I remember one brother, he was very much يعني, affected by that. Where are those ayat? Which surah? They have so many from the beautiful names of Allah. He was not even an Arab. He was a non-Arab, but then he was very much affected. He wanted to know where he wants to memorize these. Just the recitation of the Imam in the Fard Salah is a means of teaching. Likewise, وَلَدٍ صَالِحٍ يَدْعُو لَهُ. Those children who learn in the masjid, those children who learn in an Islamic school, maybe they are not your direct descendants. They're not, your children by marriage, right? But they are your children by the ni'mah of Allah Azza wa Jal upon you, the blessing of Allah upon you that you established that place. So we learned in such and such masjid. We memorized the Quran. We learned this Sunnah. We learned the Hadith. We learned the Fiqh from that masjid that was established, or that school that was established by so and so and so and so. May Allah reward them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive them. Those children of yours, righteous children, who are not your direct children, but they are your children by this charity that you have done. So I always remind those who have masajid and who have Islamic schools that investing is in this is the smartest investment, because it has those three in them. Those three in them are fulfilled in a masjid or an Islamic school, right? And after your death, you are in your grave, and this the peace, the comfort, the tranquility, the goodness, the scent, the beautiful, fragrant scent of paradise is yani, blowing like a breeze in your grave because you participated. You don't have to be the the main one, the one who did everything. Alhamdulillah, if you can work so that you want to compete with others, you want it for yourself, Alhamdulillah. But many times those projects where many people gather together in them, the reward in them is much more multiplied. So when you open up the chance for others to participate with you, actually you multiply, right? Because maybe you were able to bring only 10 children, 10 students. Someone who participates with you has far-reaching abilities. He brings 100. So you only brought 10, he brought 100. Together they became 110. So you are benefiting from the 110, and he's benefiting from the 110 students, right? Mashari'a, the Islamic projects, Al Khairiyah, where you have a group work together, the benefits of them are far much more multiplied. And it is subhanallah 9:05. I have to stop here. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. We continue tomorrow إن شاء الله تعالى. جزاكم الله خيرا.